everybody. Welcome to Rock, Paper, Hand Grenades. I'm Matt Connarton, and fondling his hand grenade over here is the Honorable Gary S. Hopper.
Well, at least I'm not fondling somebody else's hand grenade, Matt.
That would
I
be
don't know.
That would be wrong.
That would be wrong. Wait, my coffee cup's in front of my hand grenade.
Oh, you don't want that.
No, you can't. So our guest today is Jeff Goley. He is a what ward are you from?
Ward 1 here in Manchester.
Ward 1 in Manchester. And he's a Democrat. And I know, if you've watched the show long enough, that I think all Democrats are evil.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes. Oh, yes. Of course. Yes.
Okay, that's enough. And so, so anyway, Jeff, to see this hand grenade, I don't know if you know, but this is a bad hand grenade. After World War II, this is World War II, the Geneva Convention decided that this was inhumane. And they stopped making the pineapple grenade and they went to the lemon-shaped grenade that they used in Vietnam.
I thought you were going to go to a lip-shaped grenade or something, so that it was they could kiss you but say goodbye.
That's actually a good idea.
How does that sound?
That is a very good idea.
Yes. Yes.
Well, kiss goodbye.
It's just funny. It's just funny that they would deem the hand grenade to be inhumane.
Well, I think maybe some
Like a
people
pineapple.
Some people are allergic to pineapples. So.
Oh, maybe
That
that
could've
was
been-
it. It
yeah.
just brought like an allergic reaction when they see it flying towards them.
Right. Exactly.
See what I have to put up with. It's terrible. It's terrible. Anyway, Jeff was there today and listened to. We should have been over. We should have been finished up by 1 o'clock
Yes.
or 2, and we had. And sometimes I don't think people appreciate. And I've over time I've noticed that more and more. Is there's a lot of legislators that don't appreciate the fact that you have 400 people in a room who are all volunteers. It's not like you're really getting paid to sit there.
Right.
And so if they could pick up the pace a little bit and not try to ask for a roll call vote on every single issue, especially when you know all you're going to do is lose. I mean, it's just
Maybe
tedious.
Maybe some of them are just lonely and don't want to go home.
Well, the thing is, a lot of them want roll calls because they feel as though they can get information on different people how they voted, and so that they can use that in the next election.
Oh, okay.
Okay, but guess what? Nobody cares.
Right.
There's only about maybe a half a dozen issues that your voters will ever find out you voted on.
Correct.
Right. I mean,
a lot of those votes today, Gary, were division votes, weren't even recorded, and they weren't even close votes. So I don't know why we delayed the process by calling for division votes.
Right.
When they are not recorded, that's all they do is record the tally and not the names of individuals and how they voted.
That's a division vote?
Yes.
Okay.
So a division vote requires one person to get up and say, "I want a division vote." That's all it takes.
Okay.
Okay. And like he said, everybody has to come, sit down, press the button at the but it takes time because she has to wait for everybody to sit down.
Yeah.
Okay, because if somebody's in the back of the room because it's hot, it was muggy in there today, so you don't want to sit in the middle of 50 people. You might get up and walk around, try to get some fresh air somewhere, and all of a sudden somebody says division. Everybody's got to go sit down, which takes, I don't know, probably 5 minutes,
Yes.
3-4 minutes anyway.
Yeah.
To go sit down, you have to crawl over people to get to your seat. Because these are all like rows, so you can have, I don't know what's the longest row, but at least a dozen people in some rows.
Yeah.
And so if you're in the middle, you got to crawl over 6 people,
like being at a
sit
concert.
down. Yeah, it's like being in a concert. And then you got to press your button, so you get up and go back to try to get a glass of water like you wanted to begin with. And then somebody else is calling the division. Another 4 or 5 minutes wasted. It's just insanely inconsiderate.
Yes.
It really is.
Democracy often is.
Yeah.
I mean, I look at it, Gary, the Senate was
I
in
voted
and out
no.
with the same business we took care of today. They were out of there, I think, by noontime.
Oh,
if
really?
not
Yeah.
Somewhere earlier than that. We were there till 3:30. I mean, they were there.
Wow.
They were out taking care of all the same bills we did in the House. The Senate took up at the same time, once we crossed over, and they were done 3 hours earlier.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's the kind of it's just inconsiderate. It's just there's no point to it. I mean, there's sometimes you have a vote. Okay, we had a few votes that probably are relevant that you would want a constituent might want, and that's part of it too. Does a constituent want to know how you voted on something? And that's a relevant reason, a good reason to have a roll call. Let's see, what was this? What was the one? Okay, there was the we talked about it on a Norm show. Was the I think we roll called this the bill to allow police officers in the north, fish and game officers in the north to actually have the authority to pull somebody over if they think they're drinking and driving, and have the authority to arrest them.
Yes.
I don't know how you voted. I figure you
That-
voted for it.
Yes, that was brought forward. It wasn't just for that reason. One of the main reasons was it was giving them the powers to enforce the rules on the road and whatnot. And one of the concerns was, now that we've given the ability for the four-wheelers and the ATVs to come out on the roads and drive the roadways up in the North Country, on and off the trails to get to the gas stations or whatever,
Right.
that they're coming from one trail to another. Fish and Game could not make that stop and issue a citation if the person did something wrong once they were in the roadway, because they didn't have those powers. This was
Okay.
allowing that to happen. This bill wasn't put in so that now the Fish and Game can go out and that's all they're going to look for when they're driving around is a broken tail light. It was put in place because they didn't have the powers to, once they saw the violation, stop or make something happen. And one of the concerns was, one of the issues I heard that happened was an individual was stopped by a Fish and Game officer under the influence of alcohol. Policing powers, they stopped the person, held them, did the whole thing they needed to do to not let them drive, put them under arrest, and the case was thrown out because they were told they didn't have the authority to make that stop with arresting powers. And this was in the North Country, I believe, in the evening. Not many police on the road up there, they're part-time.
Yeah.
State police travel, I think, 80, 90 miles up in that part of the country to get from one area to another when they do roadways. And that was one of the things that concerned me, is because of a technicality, someone got off that probably shouldn't have been on the road and walked away not guilty when they had done something wrong, just
Right.
because of a technicality. Our concerns were that we didn't want sportsmen's dollars going for traffic stops or policing.
Right. Yeah, because the Fish and Game police officers are paid for with your hunting license,
Correct.
your fishing license, and do the hunters and fishermen want to have that money that they spend,
Mhm.
like you said, having a Fish and Game officer pulling over somebody because they get a loud muffler.
And that's
And
not
that's
the
not-
intent at all, and we were guaranteed and promised by Fish and Game and the folks at Fish and Game that that wasn't what they were going to be doing or told to be doing. Senator Carson directed them outright at the committee conference that she wanted to see the rules and regulations that are put in place once this passes as
Right.
to dealing with their traffic stops and what
Right.
the
Yeah. If somebody's endangering the public, like somebody's obviously weaving or something, absolutely. But if somebody, like you say, somebody's got a tail light out, yeah. Well,
Exactly, because I don't
Find
want my
something else to do.
Fish and Game license fees going towards having these guys having to defend traffic stop cases in court on
yeah,
a
because they
daily
still
basis.
get, yeah, like you say, because not only they pull them over, if they want to go to court, now the same Fish and Game officer
they're
has to
getting
spend
paid.
his morning in court over a bad muffler. So yep.
Exactly. But and like I said, the other concern was the ATVs in the North Country and giving them the ability to drive up and down the roadways now. We give trail enforcement Fish and Game handles, so
A
to
little
draw
bit more
that fine, it gives them the teeth to back that up.
So is that a new thing then? Them being able to drive on the roadways?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
we just did for the North Country when they're going in and out of the parks and stuff.
Oh.
They're
Yeah, so they don't have to like put it in a trailer and then bring it
Correct.
over here and then
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
makes it a lot. It adds. It's actually good for the North Country because then if you're into ATV and you can go up there and just go run around trails all day long. And
Right.
go into a restaurant to have something to eat and then take off again.
go back
Okay,
down.
It's
makes sense.
like
yeah.
snowmobiles with four wheels. And that's actually a pretty cool thing.
Yeah.
So
And it's a big boon to the North Country, from what I understand.
Must be, yeah.
yeah. Let's see. Whatever relative to establishing voluntary safe. I didn't understand. We were voting on this today. I actually was hoping you could explain this. Relative. This is HB 256. Relative to establishing a voluntary hike safe card for fishing game search and rescue operations. What was that?
That came about in the study committee, and Representative Chandler was one of the sponsors. As you know, one of the big drains on fishing game is the search and rescue and the expenses of lost hikers, injured hikers on the mountains, on the trails.
Right.
We came up with an idea where we were going to try and put out a hike safe card, which is almost like an insurance policy. A one-time fee, you pay the fee, the $10 fee for the card. If you have the card and you have it on in your pocket, you pay for it, and you're out hiking, you're a hiker, and you get hurt, you get injured, fishing game has to go rescue you, you will not be charged. As you know, we passed the bill. Anyone who's negligent, fishing game can go after to recoup costs for a rescue, search or a rescue. This is pretty much a free pass.
So those times I go up into the White Mountains and then Matt blindfolds me and sends me off into a direction for 2 hours, and then I take the mask off just to see if I can find my way out.
Correct.
If I have one of those cards, I'm good.
You're good. You get to get out of jail free card right there.
That's pretty good.
Yeah,
the only other thing I want to put in there.
The point? Oh, never mind.
Okay.
The only other factor I want to put in is that those cards are good for those who are hiking, but any person who has a hunting or fishing license is exempt from having to buy one of those, because they will be covered from fishing game and be exempt from being charged holding a fishing license or a hunting
Right,
license.
because they've already paid into
Correct.
the system. That's actually a cool idea.
And so we're hoping to
Were you-
raise some
were you
money.
co-sponsor of that too?
Yes, I was.
Wow, this guy's good.
Yeah.
For a Democrat, he's,
Right.
Yeah,
He's
it was-
all right. He's all right.
Good bipartisan bills that we work
Well,
on.
we see though. We're only a quarter into
Yeah,
the
I know,
show,
that's
so
right,
he,
right.
he could undo all this, and then
I know.
you know.
Eventually the horns will start. Oh, boy. Okay, relative to driving privileges. Oh, I was kind of on the fence on that one. The driving privileges, they passed a law today, if the governor signs it, to allow somebody, after they're, I think, convicted, wasn't positive on that, of a DWI, after 45 days, they can apply for a special license to get back and forth to work, doctor's appointments, stuff like that. I was kind of on the fence because, to me, the probability of somebody who isn't an alcoholic getting caught for DWI is pretty small. So the people you're dealing with, the group of people you are most likely dealing with, are alcoholics. And if they can legally drink and if they can still drive, they will still convince themselves it's okay to stop for a couple on the way home.
It's true.
That's what they do.
And I'm not sure whether or not that bill, and I can't remember whether it requires, if you're on that system, that you have the interlock device as well.
Right.
And the only way you're going to get out of that is to reroute it or have someone blow in it for you to keep it going.
You know what you should have an interlock system? It's like a little puzzle. Not for alcoholics. just to see
Rubik's Cube or something?
Well, I don't know. I can't do those, so I wouldn't want to do those.
Yeah.
This guy's tough.
I know, right?
You know what I mean? To see if you have the cognitive skills to be driving. You know what I mean? If you can't figure out, like, if it's 1 + 1 equals,
Right.
and you guess wrong 4 times, and the car won't start.
Oh yeah, like when you're logging into a website, if you get the password wrong too many times, it
Right.
just kicks you out.
Yeah. That'd be
Takes the
good.
keys away, automatically comes out.
There you go.
And throws them in the woods. Oh, I ain't right. Okay, so this was a really weird. We had an argument. You probably weren't privy to this one, Jeff, but we had an argument over this one. This was this is a bipartisan bill too. It was I think it was an Al Baldessaro bill. It's changing the laws right now. If the American Legion is called because there's a burial, and they're called the night, like a couple days before, can you come and do a 7-gun or 21-gun salute for like a veteran? They might not be able to get in charge of the police or something like that, and so that if they go and actually perform their duty, and they haven't gotten the proper permission, they can actually, theoretically, they're breaking the law.
Oh.
Because it could be in a compact area. So this bill was to try to fix that, which I was all in favor of. I mean, we shouldn't be denying our veterans that honor.
Absolutely.
This is where the argument came on, and it was with the people from the libertarians on the gold standard, and actually it was John Burt who I agree with on a lot of things, but not this one. He believes anybody should have a 21 gun salute if they want it. And to me, what would be the point of a 21 gun salute if the local drug dealer can get a 21 gun salute after he's dead?
Exactly.
Because his friends really like guns.
Right.
It's like, what is the point of having a 21? Because then when you see the service and you see the guns go off, you're not thinking, oh, that poor veteran thing, salute or
it takes away the meaning.
Take a moment of silence. Even if you're driving by and you see that, you're going to think in your head, wow, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And that's exactly right. And I mean, if you remember when this bill first came up in the House, it had some problems getting through. It was tabled, and it was a long haul to finally get where we were and get it drafted and done properly. It took some time to get to where we were now today.
And then the
bill.
libertarians are trying to undo it.
Correct.
Speaking of that, I was I put on if anybody's a friend on Facebook, I made a poster yesterday, I think it was. It was the two guys in Texas. There's two guys in Texas that were in a Chipotle's with their AR-15s. Now I'm gonna forget. What was the Baptist church that? Westboro.
Yeah.
I put a picture of those two idiots, and I said, these guys, because they went in, there was open carry states, so they went into a Chipotle's with AR-15s, and after which some people in the restaurant were a little nervous. And, some people are not familiar with guns. They probably would be nervous.
Right.
And so the corporation passed a rule and sent it down to everywhere, including Manchester, because I called, and said that no firearms are allowed in Chipotle's unless you're law enforcement.
Oh,
huh?
Really? That's a corporate now? Corporate-wide?
Corporate decision. And I wish they had said no open carry. That would, to me, would have been a lot more reasonable. But anyway, so I made a poster of these two idiots, and I said these guys are as helpful to the Second Amendment as the Westboro Baptist Church is to the Christianity. Because it just gives us all a bad name.
Right. It does. And I think I saw something this past week online somewhere that the NRA even came in and took a stance on that.
Yeah, the NRA just posted something yesterday about how that they felt that although they really like open carry states, they feel it's entirely inappropriate for these people to do that.
Good for them. I didn't know the NRA had done that.
Yes.
They
made a statement asking that something like that not be done to set an example.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, they felt as though if you have people in that restaurant that are, most people, they hear about the Second Amendment on maybe the news at night or something like that, but they don't really have a stake in it.
Right. It doesn't affect their day-to-day lives.
They don't. Yeah, they're not into it. And then all of a sudden they're sitting there, after the soccer game with a couple of little kids and two jerks come in with AR-15s, and all they think of is some of the insanity that's gone on out there, and they get really nervous.
Right.
So now you've taken somebody that was ambivalent is better, ambivalent about the whole subject, and now you've turned them against us.
Correct.
So that's why the NRA came out against it.
And it's not. I think it hurt the business too in itself when it's people coming in like that. You get a lot of business that's walking out and leaving.
Oh, of course.
Not wanting to be in that kind of a crowd. And,
of course, yeah.
Businesses have to take a stance. Whereas a concealed carry, I mean, no one knows who has what, and you don't need that corporate rule saying no guns at all. I mean, you can meet in between, meet the middle, and have a good compromise.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, to me, it's like me. I'm a wicked stud, but I don't have to go and advertise it as soon as I walk in. You can be discreet about these things.
Right. Well, because you're not discreet in the sense that everyone just knows.
Right. You saw this show. You saw this show, and you still agreed to come on.
I'm still here. That's scary, but I came up.
Lack of judgment on your part. Anyway,
I was proving you wrong, Gary.
Prove
So
me
you don't
wrong.
hate all Democrats. There are some
I didn't
Democrats
say
you
I
like.
didn't hate them today.
Today.
I'm a politician, so I learned to, disguise it. Okay, so anyway, that covers. Is there anything else we did today that you thought was worthy of mentioning to the folks?
I think that's pretty much all. Well, I mean, the only other big one we did was the Met tax. We solved the
Yeah,
for 1 year.
theoretically.
Theoretically.
Theoretically,
What-
Still
what's
a
that?
whole
Met tax?
the tax on the hospitals.
hospitals.
Oh, okay.
And St. Joe's is still holding out, so whether it's a fix or not, it's still up for grabs.
Yeah.
But we'll see. That's why I didn't get into it, because A, I don't know anything about it. B,
Yes.
we don't really know what's going to happen. But,
Correct.
it's
That's-
like, what was it the saying about, I forget where, somebody said it, I'm doing it now. If people, something about if people don't know you're ignorant, it's better to keep your mouth shut than opening up your mouth and removing all doubt or something. I forget how that goes.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the one reason I had Jeff on it, although I hate Democrats and he's one of them, is you were pretty severely attacked earlier this year. I think it was mostly earlier this year or
Yes.
last term.
Nope, this
I mean,
year.
last year.
This year.
By NHFC, I would presume, because they're
Yes.
the ones who were absolutely, as far as I can tell, pretty much opposed to the Second Amendment. They just have a very unique way of going about it.
What's NHFC?
New Hampshire Firearms Coalition. They're the ones who attacked me. Remember last term
Oh,
when I had the bill to allow you to have a firearm in your car as long as it wasn't one in the chamber,
Correct.
right.
which wasn't exactly what they told me to do. So they attacked me for that because I was anti-gun.
Yes, you're suddenly a rhino
I'm suddenly right.
for not taking the extreme
Yeah, because
position.
so I didn't take the I did well with NHFC. If you don't do exactly what they tell you, they'll attack you.
Right.
I found that out this year.
Oh yeah, it was John Burt his first term. He says, "Oh, I want to do this bill." I says, "John, even if it's a really, really, really positive Second Amendment bill, guess what? NHFC is going to attack you unless they write it.
Yeah.
You never edit it, and never do anything to it. They'll still attack you."
Correct.
Because it's their way or the highway. So basically, what they are is a super. If they had their way, they would be a legislature. Well, you know what I mean? Because anything they wanted would go through. Period.
Yeah.
And they do that out of fear taxes. They got rid of Marilinda Garcia one term. Same thing. I don't remember what she did.
And
Wow, she's
I
very
don't
conservative.
remember what that
She's
was.
very
She's
conservative.
yes.
She's definitely pro Second Amendment. But
I mean, one of the bills I put in was to make sure concealed carry gun permits could not be part of a right to know request. Put it into the 91A
exactly.
law statutes. Said that no one can walk into a police department and say who owns guns and where do they live and this and that.
So we don't end up what happened. Was it Connecticut or
New York. New York.
Remember, people don't remember last year or the year before in New York, some newspaper went in with a right to know request, got the list of everybody that owned guns or had a firearms permit, and posted it
Names and
online.
addresses right on
Names and addresses, everything else. So a criminal would either A, say, hey, they got guns in this house, let's go rob it, or hey, they got guns in this house, let's avoid it and do their neighbor.
Correct.
But either way, it's private information
Yeah.
that should not be public. So Jeff had a bill in to eliminate that, so they couldn't do that.
Yeah.
How much crap did you get for that?
And I got a lot of flack from the Hampshire Firearms Coalition. You're going about it wrong. Let us write it the way it's supposed to be written. And I said, well, it's pretty clear. There's not a tough way to write it. You put it right into the right to know request that this can't be part of public records.
Yeah.
I don't know how clear you guys want to write it, but this is pretty clear. Nope, we're not going to support it. We don't want this. I don't know why you're doing it. It's bad bill, bad bill.
Wow.
So,
It's all or
okay.
nothing with them, huh?
Oh yeah.
So-
yeah, when I said stuff like that, when I attack NHFC on the show, it's because of years of dealing with them. And I like most of the people that are there. I Dave Wheeler, I really like him.
So we went about it. We got to the floor. It was going to be fought on the floor. I said, I'm going to speak to it on the House floor. And folks from Hampshire Firearms Coalition contacted me. Don't do this, don't do that. Well, let us amend it our way, and we'll work together. We'll put an amendment together to do it the way we want it, and then we'll support you. J.R. Hole went and had an amendment done, floor amendment, ready to go, that day and then went to the floor and spoke against my bill because it wasn't needed. My argument was, well, if it isn't needed, then why are you preparing an amendment? Because obviously if you have an amendment ready to go, then you're telling me current legislation isn't good enough and doesn't protect the individual. And they killed what I thought was a really good bill to protect those gun owners, concealed carry, and have permits, making sure their names are protected. Killed a good piece of legislation, which was unfortunate.
So they came and said to you, we're going to make a deal, and then they went back on their deal.
I told him I wasn't going to get involved with an amendment.
Okay.
He went and had an amendment drafted on his own.
Right.
After telling me that current law was sufficient.
Okay, I get it. Okay.
Why are you drafting an amendment if you're telling me
Right.
Yeah.
current law is sufficient?
Wow.
Yeah, so that's the kind of crap you have to deal with. Then you really pissed them off.
We had it as written, Senate Bill 244, which was to record and report mental illnesses to the federal list.
Right. Right now, just to be clear, if you've been adjudicated or basically forced into a mental institution, let's say you have a breakdown, okay? Some people, after dealing with me for more than 10 minutes, will have a breakdown, okay? Or people who watch the show will have a breakdown.
Yeah, so that's a key demographic for us, actually.
It is.
People having breakdowns.
Right.
Yes.
And
People
so
reaching over trying to pull that pin to get out of here. Let's just end it.
But anyway, so somebody has an unfortunate event in their life, and they have a breakdown. They're committed to an institution for a while. They come out, they get their act together. Whether they know it or not, legally they could be charged for if they went and bought a firearm. They could be, or even have a firearm for that matter. They can be charged under federal law.
Correct.
Okay, that's what the law is now. That's a federal law that they are not allowed to have firearms. Period.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so your bill did what from there?
The bill came in and originally was to make sure that the names were reported to the federal government so that they were on the list of not being allowed to buy guns.
Right.
And after some talk and some work with New Hampshire Firearms Coalition, the NRA, National Shooting Sports Foundation, and putting things together, the final bill that was passed in the Senate and came to the House would have allowed someone to be adjudicated once they were put on the list of a mental illness and they were found to be cured, had a doctor's note saying, we got him on medication, or it was just a lapse, he's stable now, and we deem him fine, that you could get yourself off that list and now be allowed to have firearms.
Makes sense.
And
yeah, because it shouldn't be a life sentence.
No.
Because you have a breakdown when you're 17, because most 17-year-olds pretty much should be. Actually, that's a good idea. Next year we should have a bill that at 17, especially girls, I should say, anyway, that we just we institutionalize them all for, say, 4 years, from 16 to 20. Just lock them up.
Can we get someplace for him?
No, not near my house.
We got a whole building sitting out there that's going to be vacant pretty soon, so we can put him in that one.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, he's thinking.
Yeah.
Anyway, so sorry.
So this would allow someone to get their firearms back or be allowed to carry a firearm again.
So there's some way they have of appealing.
Correct.
Because one of the testimonies you had in your in the bill was a guy who had a breakdown or something, and I think he committed a crime. No, it was Penny Dean.
Yes.
There was a guy who had a breakdown and did something and was, and couldn't get his Second Amendment rights back. And he tried to take it to court. And the judge said, if you had robbed the bank while you were mentally unstable and got treatment and came out, I could actually have this annulled.
Correct.
But because it's a mental illness, I have no vehicle. The legislature has not given me the tools to relieve you of that.
Correct.
So fundamentally, if you have a mental breakdown,
it's a life
sentence
Wow. Exactly.
for not, you lose your Second Amendment for life.
Mm-hmm. And,
but a criminal can have it.
and it was a good bill, and it was unfortunate that this gentleman had to pay an attorney to go through that whole court process when the attorney should have known, being a attorney that follows gun legislation, should have known that there was no way for this individual to get their guns back, but still took the $10,000 in court fees and everything else that she charged this poor individual,
Wow.
knowing that, whether or not he could have gotten his rifles back or
Right.
Yeah,
ammunition.
I don't know enough about the case. She told him that, so that, I can't do it, but well, let's try.
That's right.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it
No,
might have been. It might not have been
could
as
have
quite
been,
as
but-
nefarious. Because she's been a guest of the show too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Penny Dean's been on a long time ago. I haven't
don't
had her
re-
on for a long time. She's,
But
she's quite a
it was
character.
and the original legislation we were trying to pass that we get attacked on was, good legislation. It was brought forward by the National Shooting Sports Foundation.
Yeah.
Their language, that organization is made up of gun manufacturers. Why would gun manufacturers want to sponsor or help push through a piece of legislation that would limit gun ownership when they're in the business
Well,
to
just
sell
by-
guns?
Just by its actually very nature, it actually expands gun ownership.
Exactly. And
Right.
so we were attacked. The same legislation we brought forward, Senator Waters and myself, on Senate Bill 244, passed recently in both Georgia and Alaska, Gary. And
Now-
now you know what Georgia and Alaska stand on Second Amendment rights.
Right.
Now, do
Yeah.
you think it's possible, because it was Waters and you, is it possible that NHFC just attacked it because you're Democrats?
Yeah, they could have, but if you're going to attack a piece of legislation because of who the sponsors are, then are you truly
I don't know.
pro Second
I'm just
Amendment
I'm trying to
rights
think,
or not?
I-
Are you
'cause-
looking for the rights, or are you just looking for individuals?
But I know they've attacked me too, and I'm Republican too. So I guess
Yeah.
that doesn't hold water. I just don't even
No.
understand it. It's
And-
illogical.
And when I go out there, I try and talk to people and let them know, because, we hear it all the time with these organizations, whether it be the NRA or anybody else. Let's support Republicans, support Republicans, support Republicans. And I try and bring out the fact that you have to remember the number of good Democrats that you have that are pro Second Amendment, and there are a number of us
There's a
out
lot
there.
of them in New Hampshire.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, if the background check bill, if you didn't have the Democrats voting against the background check bill, that was what stopped that bill from going forward. When you look at the number of votes, it was the Democrats that voted
Right.
against that bill
What
that
was that one?
stopped it.
I get brain damage. What's that?
For requiring background checks for firearms at gun shows and during all sales.
The quote unquote loophole.
Correct.
Yeah.
And it was a number of Democrats that voted that
which
made
went,
sure that
went against probably leadership. I don't know, but
correct. And in talking with people, I keep trying to remind them that when you talk about the issues, you're stronger if you become bipartisan than just putting one party against the other, because it's always in numbers. And when you're talking about issues like Second Amendment, it's not just one party or the other that owns guns or carries guns.
Right.
Both parties do it.
yeah,
Yeah,
no, that's
absolutely.
actually why I had you on the show, because I wanted you to be able to have a chance to actually for the voters of Manchester to understand, because I'm sure they're going to get mail that says you were anti-gun.
Oh, I'm sure
Odds
it's
are.
already probably printed and sitting there waiting for
Yeah.
for October to come around.
Dave Wheeler has a printing press in his basement that he never fails to use to attack people. And yeah, so you're right. It's probably already printed, ready to go, and it'll probably arrive about 2 days before the election.
Correct.
It's all in the timing.
Well, yeah,
And
that's why I want to get this out early, because
Yeah.
although I don't typically, obviously it's a Republican show, so I typically have Republicans be able to voice their opinion, but I wanted you to get on just to say that, because it's so unreasonable for them to have attacked you when you're head of the Sportsman's Coalition in the State House. Or
Me and myself.
Caucus or coalition?
Legislative Sportsman's Caucus.
Okay, yeah, it's got a lot of words in it, so I can't possibly.
Yeah, I know. That's a lot of syllables. A lot of vowels and consonants.
Myself and Representative Chandler co-chair the House side, and you have Senator Prescott and Senator Woodburn co-chair on the Senate side.
Okay.
Do you know, can you put a percentage roughly on how many Democrats voted against that bill you were discussing? I'm just curious
which
how
one?
The last one, about the background checks.
Okay.
I'm just curious how large a contingent of the Democrats in New Hampshire and that.
I'm gonna say somewhere in the area of 20, but don't.
Okay.
That's just off the top of my head.
Okay.
As to the number that may have crossed, somewhere in that range.
Okay.
20,
yeah.
25 is what I remember.
All right. Yeah, I was just curious.
Yep.
Yeah, it's that's kind of the thing too. Is the voters, if they have the time to really get to know who actually they're voting for, because you have some Democrats are like really good Second Amendment votes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and to not vote for somebody if you're pro Second Amendment, to not vote for somebody because they're a Democrat is ignorant. It's the same thing with a lot of people who vote for Republicans because they think they're pro Second Amendment and they're not.
Correct.
We had Dr. Pilliard, I think Bristol. I forget what town he was from. But he was always voting for gun control. But he's a Republican, so people say, "Oh no, he couldn't vote that way." Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
I used to have that conversation, not about specifically gun control, but I remember going around Goffstown. There was a state rep that was pretty liberal, and I'd go around and say, "I'm Gary." He says, "Well, I'm voting for this person." I says, "You actually know how they voted?"
No.
No.
And
Well, they seem like such a nice person.
I tell people, when you go out there with the New Hampshire legislature, it sometimes seems more like it's not about the issues, but it's just a popularity contest more than anything else, because nobody knows about the voting records of some of the people they're voting for. It's just, I know the name.
Right, or the party, just vote on. On
Yeah, a
party
lot of
lines,
people vote on party lines because
Yeah.
they don't know.
Correct.
Which is I personally care. One of the things as time goes on, more and more, the thing I care about is people who are willing to be independent.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Is that there's a group of people, Democrats and Republicans, that are just straight shooters and vote what they believe is correct. Period. And the party, well, whatever.
And I think that's the biggest block of voters growing that are registered right now is the independents. When you go look at the rolls in your district as to how many people are registered when they go to the polls as independents versus a party.
Right.
Yeah, that's me. I'm an independent. I was a
growing.
Democrat up until mid 2000s.
It's growing, and if people get to know their legislators, they'll start to know who is and isn't. If they talk to them, they'll find out. Well, you didn't vote with a party on that. Oh, that's okay.
Right.
It's like Marilyn. I know you're not going to endorse her, but like Marilyn.
It's not my district.
Yeah, it's not your district. Marylinda Garcia, there's a bunch of people in Salem that are upset with Salem. Was she from Salem?
Salem.
Really upset with her because she didn't vote for gambling.
Correct. And
Now, to me, that is an example of strength. If you have a district that's absolutely pro-gambling and you're elected as a representative to uphold the Constitution first and foremost, and you believe that this gambling is fundamentally, especially the gambling bills we've seen, is fundamentally unconstitutional, so you vote against it. Your conscience, you vote against it, even though it's really popular in your district. That shows a certain amount of strength of character to vote for what you know is right versus
As
what's going to
integrity.
get. I mean, if you're voting just so that you can get reelected, you got issues.
Right.
That's what a lot of what we see. You know.
Correct.
And that's a lot of the roll calls are more for special interest groups than it is for the public because they don't even know.
No, nobody has an idea when you talk to them. It's hit or miss.
Yeah.
There are those individuals who know everything you've done, or don't know anything. Don't know your voting record at all.
Yeah, I know. I get people at in Ware, they'll say, "Oh yeah, I remember you. I'm going to vote for you for selectman again."
That's awesome.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Well,
Been a selectman.
Well, you're in there.
but-
Write me in for state rep,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah. I might try for that one too this year.
Yeah.
So anyway, what else is we're going to cover that a little bit too? Is what else is going on for the sportsmen this year?
I think we've stayed busy. We just had a nice little event up at the Albrook Hunter Education
fun.
Facility.
I didn't kill. I was shooting,
Yeah.
and I did not kill. Did I kill anybody?
No.
Good for you, Gary. Good
Even-
for you.
Once in a row.
All
buddy.
right.
Once in a row.
Even the target survived.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, you get a gold star for that.
I know.
guess.
I know. Those
And
targets
that
are
was a
safe.
good, when you talk about bipartisan stuff going on, we had a great time. It was
was fun.
Democrats, Republicans. We had
Yeah.
a lot of fun. It's a great facility. If you haven't been up there, to get up there, I think their open house might be either this weekend or next weekend.
It's a really awesome place. It's in near Squam Lake. What's it called again?
It's the Owlbrook Hunter Education Facility that is owned and operated by New Hampshire Fish and Game.
It's a really nice place. I got shooting and I got to use a my eyes are so bad. I got to use a left-handed bow because I used to shoot right-handed, but my right eye's gone blind. So they actually had a left-handed bow, which is kind of nice. And it's so bad, right? It's the target, I don't know, it was 20 feet?
20 yards.
20 yards. It was the targets were 20 yards inside?
Yeah, it was 20
Arrows.
yards back.
The arrows, really?
We were 20 yards back.
Really?
That's what they told us.
I thought it was 25 feet. Okay, whatever. I did better than I thought. So, anyway, it was pretty funny because my eyes are so bad, right? The lady, one of the instructors there is showing me how to do it, so I got to learn how to do it lefty.
Yeah.
And she goes, okay, well, down to the right. Well, where did I hit last time? She didn't understand that. I couldn't tell where I hit.
Oh.
I had no clue where that. Once that arrow left the bow, I had no idea where it was. And so she'd say, so it actually got pretty good. She goes, okay, you're up at 3 o'clock, so on the top right hand corner of the target.
Zeroed him right in. It was amazing.
Really? Yeah.
Gary's up here. Next thing you know, he's down here. Target's right here. All of a sudden, there he is.
Wow.
She just talked him right into it.
No
Yeah,
kidding.
she did.
Huh.
But it's funny. Well, the funny thing is my first 3 shots, because I didn't have her, help me out. She goes, that's a really good shot. You got a headshot on the...
Woodchuck or whatever it was.
No, it was turkey.
That's
The
it. You had to
headshot
tell him
on
turkey.
the turkey. She goes, that's really good. I was trying for the target. Which I shouldn't have said.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
But
funny.
that was pretty
But
cool.
I think if anyone who wants to go check it out, it's a great facility. There are open houses. Like I said, I don't remember if they told us when it was. I don't remember if it's
Yeah,
this weekend or next weekend. But go to Fish and Game's website, look up their Owlbrook facility, and it should be posted on their website. They're supposed to be having some good stuff going on, having the range open, skeet shooting. I think they said they were going to have some working dogs out there to show hunting dogs, and a lot of stuff for kids, ice cream for kids, and all kinds of fun stuff, as well as I think they said they were raffling off a gun for
Oh,
the day, too, that they have.
now I'm interested.
That's
Huh?
one of the reasons it piqued my interest and my ears were raised when they...
Well, the other thing they do up there is they have a hunter education course or exclusively for women,
Correct.
which is so sexist.
Which is called
So I should be allowed to go.
becoming
Yes,
an outdoor
yes.
woman.
I was thinking of putting a skirt on, just so I can go hang out with the ladies. But anyway, that's not right. I shouldn't say that on the air. So, no, it's actually really cool. One of the ladies was saying because what they try to do is get women that haven't gone shooting or haven't gone hunting. They actually teach you how to shoot, how to clean game. I don't know about tracking. Do they do tracking?
I think they do the tracking as well.
They do everything, right?
Correct.
So if a woman wanted to go up there for, I think it's a weekend.
Yes,
It's a weekend. If they go up there for the weekend, they can go from the beginning to end of how to actually hunt.
Wow.
And one of the women came back like 6 months later. So, oh, look what I got! She had a picture of the buck she had shot.
really?
Or something. It was awesome.
Yeah.
But the cool thing was one of the lady instructors was talking about how the women, when they first get up to the line to shoot, that you can tell the apprehension.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're like nervous and stuff like that because you watch too many TV shows and they think the gun's gonna knock their shoulder off or something.
Right.
And so they're kind of nervous, and then they take their first shot, and the smile starts stretching out across their face.
Yeah.
They hit that target, and then
Like, wow, that was cool.
and you can't get, any better than just using a .22 rifle for
Yeah.
a woman who's first gun to shoot. I mean,
That's
there's
what
nothing to them.
When I teach people to shoot, I've taught a couple of women, 2 or 3 women to shoot. I always start out with 22s, just so they get over. It's a great caliber, and it gets over that initial shock. And then if they want to graduate up to 9mm or something with a little bit more authority, I let them try it. And if they don't like it, they put it down, and go back 22. No biggie. But
so yeah, it's interesting. I mean, they get game that they get roadkill that they freeze and keep in the freezers till this weekend comes up, and they'll bring them up and they'll teach the woman how to actually skin a deer, gut it out, clean it out, get it all prepped. So it gets them interested, gets them involved. It helps Fish and Game selling more licenses. You get more individuals involved. They get out there, they want to hunt, they want to fish. It's a
plus,
good
the
program.
women can go home and practice gutting on their husbands when they're sleeping.
You think they do that?
Some of them, yeah, they get pretty. They're very violent. Girls are scary.
I know. No one wants to be gutted while they're sleeping.
No, I hate that.
I think that's illegal, actually.
Yeah, it is.
Right, it should be.
No, it's.
Did we pass that this year?
No, I don't think we
We
did.
better
I
do
think
it. We better
I think NHSC
put it in next
killed
year.
that.
We should try it again next year. Put
Okay,
it
we'll
in.
have to. Yeah, maybe. So what else? What else happened? We only got a few more minutes. So
We had a couple luncheons. What else did we do with the?
I'm always good for the luncheons. That's what we had a lot of today.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah,
we had ice cream.
We had ice cream.
Ooh.
As a matter of fact, I have the coolers in my car that I got to drop off when I leave here at the back room, Pewter back room.
Oh yeah, they donated the ice cream, or do we pay for that?
I don't know. I think the speaker paid for it. But
Yeah?
I have all the coolers. I told them as close to home. I'll drop them
wait.
off.
You have
And
coolers?
while I'm there, I may have a mudslide. You know, it's
No, wait a second. Do you have coolers full of ice cream?
no, they're empty. Just the
There's
coolers.
no ice cream.
No,
Oh.
I was a little
It's almost
disappointed.
worth mugging 'em
You
for
were
it.
thinking the
I'm
same thing I was, yeah.
I know.
You know, if my car was parked out on Elm Street right now with full ice cream, the windows would probably be broken and the ice cream would be gone.
Yeah,
the coolers would be
exactly.
gone.
Yeah,
The
that's
coolers
true.
would still be there, but the ice cream would be gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we had the ice cream social today.
You had a free lunch. I didn't get a free lunch. I didn't get invited.
Oh yeah, that's because Frank Saporetto, he's going to be on the show next month.
That's a familiar name. Has
Yeah,
he been on before?
He's,
Okay.
he's a sharp cookie. He's a nice guy. He's running for Senate in Derry, and I don't
Jim
know.
Roche's seat.
Huh?
Jim Roche's seat.
Yeah, Jim Roche's seat. And Derry, and I forget what the other towns are involved. So he's going to come on the show. He's a really nice guy. But he had a luncheon, so I went over there and sleazed lunch off of him, and then didn't give any money for his campaign, because that's the way I am. That's the way I roll.
Yeah, that's good.
And then we
smooth.
after they had at Tandy's, they had something afterwards.
Yes,
I don't even know who that was for.
For Karen Wadsworth.
That was for Karen?
Yes. Dave Hess and Dave Campbell put that on.
Oh, I didn't know it was for Karen. But I got free food. I didn't care.
I don't know who paid for it,
I have
but
no conscience
it was
at
free.
all.
Well, your stomach doesn't, right?
No. So anyway, on fish and game bills, did we do anything else cool this year?
Defeated a couple bills that we didn't like. One to prohibit trapping.
They
was a bad
do
bill.
that every year. And
That
that
one?
deer baiting.
Deer
is the other
baiting
one.
was the other one. Correct.
Yes.
Perennial bills. They come
Perennial. Yeah, we have bills. I was on the fish and game committee for a lot of years, and every year you get the same bills. One of them was always deer baiting. And the first, I think it was my first term, Henry Mock was at that time chairman of judiciary, but he used to be chairman of fish and game. And he was
in.
talking.
Was a
Was
law
that-
enforcement
that
with
might have
fish and
been
game
Baird.
too, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. He was a fish and game cop. I think it was actually the top fish and game cop. And I think it was either bear baiting or deer baiting. But he got up and he started his speech. He was very, very good at the well speaking. And he would end every little comment with "It's just not fair." By the end of his speech on why we should vote against the committee report, which was like 15-0.
I remember that
Right.
day. I was there.
He just, everybody in the audience is just not fair.
Oh, really?
Overturned the committee report. And
By a
had
good margin too.
by
It
a
was-
good margin, yeah. He was really, really good.
Huh.
But that went up to the Senate and that got killed again because it's just ridiculous. I forget why people introduce it just because it seems nice, but in practical sense, it really makes no difference.
No.
No. But
And my concern always was the way the bill was written. If I plant an apple tree, is that considered baiting? Because deer eat apples, and now I just put a tree out that drops the food the deer like in my yard. Am I going to get charged with baiting?
Right,
I
I
mean,
get a
because
lot of
it's
bait.
so loosely
I get
written.
a lot of bait on my property, which is really cool. I actually had my bait site. I actually had turkeys in the apple trees. You know how some of the apples don't fall?
Yep.
Yeah,
They'll
the
stay
turkey. This I think by December or January, the turkeys were up there eating them
Oh, really?
in the branches. It was kind of
Wow.
cool because it's so freaking big.
How many you got in the freezer?
I'm not admitting that on teas.
You got any
He
in
thinks
your
I'm
car?
wicked.
or-
I got some in my freezer in my car.
Oh, wow. We're
I
gonna
don't
have
have
to.
any ice cream. But
Oh, okay.
No.
Never mind.
He's got the birds.
Yeah.
So you're running again.
I am.
You are.
It's going to be, I think, my 8th term now.
8th
Oh,
term.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That'll probably be it. I may call it quits after.
You might call it quits. Why? You're just sick of the money and the fame? And the
I might want to go
women?
make some
glory.
money. $100 a year isn't enough. I want to
Really?
make a little more than that, I think.
Wow, you're greedy.
I know.
Oh,
know.
jeez.
Gotta go where the money is. Still trying to figure out where I'm going to get that $2 to file when I go file my...
Oh, you haven't filed yet? I filed
No.
this morning. I didn't want to,
I'm trying to
but...
find the quarters till we get the $2 scrapped
Well,
up.
if your children have piggy banks. Not that I would steal
Yeah, but
from
when
my
I
own
break them, then I
kids.
got to use a tube of super glue to put them back together so they don't know I took the quarters out.
Uh,
You know, and
or you could take enough quarters so you could buy them a new piggy bank,
that's true.
right? And just replace it and put the...
They'll never know.
They'll never know. But anyway, that's
You guys
just...
are like criminal masterminds.
pretty much.
Yeah.
We have
not
a lot
like-
of time sitting in the chambers to think of things like
Yeah, it sounds like it. Yeah. yeah.
Jeff,
waiting for a vote.
Thank you very much for all you do for the
Thank
Second
you.
Amendment
Yeah,
and the
thank you, Jeff.
sportsmen.
Appreciate it.
And
Thank you for having me
even
on.
though you're a Democrat and I hate you, on a scale...
Oh, boy. Here
I'm
we
an
go.
independent, so I only half hate you.
We'll see you next week, folks.